our big story breakdown. Tonight, we're digging into ongoing efforts at the state capitol where a budget showdown is currently underway.
Top lawmakers are pointing fingers as a dispute over a teacher pay increase funding question threatens to derail much of the lawmaking process. Fox 25's Tom Ferguson joins us live from the Capitol. So, Tom, tell us what is new tonight.
Adam and Wendy, just this afternoon, the head of the state Senate announced that until the House sends its budget over, the Senate Appropriations Committee will be holding House bills hostage and won't be hearing them.
We're not going to blink. We're serious that we want this budget process to be transparent.
Senate leaders say they expected to receive the House's numbers on Tuesday, but after lawmakers gavelled in for the Senate committee that decides which programs and offices get how much money,
Chair sees a quorum. We'll call the Appropriation Committee meeting back to order.
They announced no bills from the House would be heard because they were still in the dark on the House's budget as of Wednesday afternoon.
In this very room on that board back there, we have been putting a spreadsheet up every week so people, all Oklahomans, can know what the numbers are. Unfortunately, the House hasn't decided to join us in that, and it's creating an unnecessary delay in our state budget process.
At the center of this is an ongoing dispute over how to fund $20 million in teacher pay raises, according to House leaders. Those lawmakers described the issue as an unfunded mandate and called upon the Senate to fix its mistake in its 2024 budget before moving on to 2025. House leaders described that proposed solution, House Bill 2673, as, quote, unlawful. Amid all this, the Senate president is sticking to his guns and says with so much money on the line, he needs a better idea from the House on how everything gets funded.
I don't think they've done the hard work of deciding. They sent us $3.533 billion in new recurring either revenue loss or spending. We cannot afford that.
House bills being heard in committees other than appropriations aren't being impacted. For now, Senate leaders are waiting to get the House's budget before making any changes. And unless this gets figured out by an April 11th committee deadline, some bills may be dead in the water. Now lawmakers could go to the Joint Committee on Appropriations and Budget to hammer out a deal, but future steps remain unclear. Live at the Capitol, Tom Ferguson, Fox 25 News.
State lawmakers also working to strengthen penalties for strangulation offenses. The Oklahoma House Judiciary Criminal Committee passed Senate Bill 1211 today, which would raise the penalty for assault and battery by strangulation or attempted strangulation against an intimate partner or household member from a maximum of 3 years to a maximum term of up to 10 years in prison. The measure would also add fines of up to $20,000 for first offenses rather than requiring a second offense. The bill now eligible for consideration by the full House.
Oklahoma lawmakers are updating foster and adoption policies, making sure parents aren't taken out of the pool of applicants based on religion. Fox 25's Capitol reporter Peyton May explains how this could impact children facing traumatic or unstable family situations.
Representative Crosswhite Hader says her bill will address the need for foster families, ensuring that religious families can help too. But those in opposition say that there's reasons certain children aren't paired with religious families.
We have seen other states where they actually were already approved foster parents and lost their ability to foster simply because of their faith.
Senate Bill 1677 is a preventative bill prohibiting DHS from taking away opportunities to foster and adopt because of a family's religious or moral beliefs.
This simply is saying we are not going to hinder based on religion and take out a whole category of foster parents.
Democrats argue pairing certain kids with religious families isn't in the child's best interest.
Because we don't want to place a kid who is LGBTQ in an atmosphere where they might be subjected to conversion therapy.
Representative John Waldron believes this bill will prevent the state from looking out for the welfare of a child.
But we're going to ask the state to turn a blind eye in cases where where a child's sexual orientation or gender identity conflicts with a family seeking the placement. And I think that's a recipe for disaster.
Representative Crosswhite Hayter says this bill doesn't prioritize or force a child to stay with a religious family, but gives everyone a fair chance.
I don't want to hinder a good family that is pro-LGBTQ from being hindered either. Because if they've got the good basis of being the family that wants to raise that child to become a productive adult, I don't want to limit that opportunity either.
The bill advanced through committee and will now head to the House floor. Reporting at the Capitol, Peyton May, Fox 25 News.
There's a push at the state capitol to change when school board elections are held. Advocates held a rally today to bring attention to the issue. As Fox 25's Grant Palmer reports, some lawmakers want school board elections to be held alongside state and federal elections in November to increase voter turnout.
And to me, it's not even a controversial or a crazy issue. The more people we get to the polls, the better off we are.
Coming on the heels of school board elections held yesterday, that's the goal House Republicans are hoping to accomplish, which they're looking to do by aligning school board elections with state and federal elections in November.
It's kind of a no-brainer. Why wouldn't we do that? And the reason is we had certain groups that are controlling these elections said that we don't want them. We like them controlled, and we're not hearing the full voice of we the people. So we need to hear the full voice of we the people.
House Bill 3563 was the initial piece of legislation state Republicans filed that would move school board elections to November, which wasn't successful. Since then, Senate Bill 244 has taken its place. Banning says the proposed change would make it easier on parents.
And parents are so busy from time to time. From changing diapers to feeding, getting homework together, and all the things that parents do on a day-to-day basis. And now we're asking them to go over here for a special election when they could just vote over here, which they typically do. So less than 1% of voters voted in school board elections that didn't vote in the primary.
Banning says the change would also help school districts save money.
But on the average, be $29 million every 2 years to be repurposed for our teachers.
That was Grant Palmer reporting the bill can now be taken up by the Rules Committee, then go to the House floor for a vote. And if passed, it would head to the governor's desk.
Candidate filing is now underway for state legislative offices as well as some federal and county offices. Filing began today at the state capitol and it runs through Saturday. Candidates have between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. on those days to submit their paperwork. We spoke with State Rep AJ Pittman as she filed for her 4th term today.
This is where all the candidates get to meet each other and say hello to each other. If you see people while you're filing, it's kind of that first big event to say, okay, I'm running for office and I'm a real candidate. And there's a lot of young people running, which I'm super excited about. I was 24 when I ran my first time, and to still be serving and to see other young people take that leap of faith and put their name on the ballot just really gives me hope for the future of the state of Oklahoma, because we have term limits. So I can't be in this seat forever. I am fortunate enough to be able to represent my constituency, but somebody is going to have to pass, I'm going to have to pass the torch to them.
The primary elections are June 18th with any necessary runoffs in August. The general election will be November 5th. And that is your big story breakdown tonight. You can learn more about this at OKCFox.com.
And if you missed any part of this big story breakdown, you can find it all on our YouTube channel. Scan the QR code on your screen or search OKC Fox.